All right, let's take a look at some of my favorite shots from the week of February 15th through February 21st. These are the ones that went over to friends, family, and clients, and we'll kind of go through a quick blurb on them. So, started out, it was stormy this week, so not a lot offshore, just a lot of La Jolla. This one I liked, this bird, double-crested cormorant. I got a kick out of this one. The crests here, the eyebrows, however you want to put it. This one had this kind of matching beak, which I haven't seen a lot of, and I got a kick out of it. I also like the texture here in this shot and kind of how it frames up the composition with the spray versus less spray. And then there was one more of this one that I was fond of as well. It's kind of same concept. I don't know if I like the spray in front or behind. And then sea lion surfing. There's a lot of photos, so we're going to kind of skim through some of them. Not the best photo by any stretch, but a lot of times I'm just shooting over things that I like or that I saw. And this was... I've spent a lot of time offshore this year, and all the gray whale breaches that I've seen have actually been seen from La Jolla. And this guy had taken a couple deep breaths and was kind of splashing around in the water just a little bit. And at that point, a couple had come up to me and started asking me some questions, and I really didn't get away from the camera because, it's... I don't know. That's what I do. Is I'm there to take pictures, not necessarily be everybody's, chatterbox friend. I'll chat if I can, but anyway, the wife saw the breach. I think the guy was talking at the side of my head, and I don't think he saw this breach. But before 7 a.m., so high ISO, kind of slower shutter than usual, and I was stretched as far as I could stretch, and then some composition crop. I've been trying to get a few shots for a buddy of mine, and that are really encompassing a lot of maybe not like the straight. This one I like. The shots I'm trying to get aren't necessarily as animal based so much as maybe based around the abstract composition, the colors, how the colors interact, the movement. This particular one isn't a great example of that. The next couple are, but I did get a kick out of this guy was kind of popping up to see a little further as the waves came through. This next series, I really thought some of these were strong. Up, I guess maybe they're the next day. Another first light, Point La Jolla. Here we have a American oyster catcher with some black oyster catchers. The American one has this white underbelly, and I'm not great super birder guy, but I'm getting good enough that I can kind of know what's more rare, and so I was stoked that I was already looking at this when all the birders came out from their scopes with their cameras to get a photo of that, so I felt like I was in the loop. Pelican looking at us. This one I got a kick out of. I think this would be, if I had any sort of business that needed wayfinding, this is the image I would be using. So the cormorants often raise their wings to dry out. They're not particularly waterproof, and they're swimming birds, so they do this a lot. But having it with just the one wing out and looking the same way, I thought was great. These are more the ones that had some of the extra details in the gradient for that abstract kind of look. This one in particular, I liked the sort of mohawk or the spray coming off the head of the seal. This one was really popular with that first light and being able to kind of let things get into the light versus the shadow, taking advantage of that natural contrast. It produces some cool shots. This next one was actually one of my favorite from that day. Something about just how the water kind of rolls in and out and then the series of colors. The seal's head is pretty clear back there. It was just kind of a cool day. It was a real chunky morning. That was one of the bigger days kind of this last storm that rolled through. But I was able to catch some gaps in the light. This one I really liked, same kind of concept, is it's not necessarily like a textbook image of an animal or wildlife, but the seal's back here. You've got all this motion, all these gradients of colors. You've got this ridge of spray, shooting it at a fast shutter speed, so you're able to freeze that out. You know, it's looking. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's 1/2500th of a second. It really allows the water to tell a story. I got a kick out of this great blue heron. There's a lot of details here in its feathers. Same thing with this tern. I thought that these birds look very, very white until you really stop that motion and you can kind of see the gradients. Another look at tern. This one I found interesting, not because it's a great photo per se. I do like that it's just about to enter the water, but I found it interesting that its legs are forward, more like what I've seen ospreys do versus a lot of other diving birds. I see them kind of roll their legs back. I'm assuming that it rolls its legs forward so that it can more quickly paddle up and get back into the air, but I'm not sure. It's something I'd have to talk to a biologist or a naturalist about. I finally got a couple shots of the American white pelicans in flight. It was about a 5 to 10 second flight, and it was about this high, but I'm counting it. My love for birds that run, taking off. Kind of a fun first light. Everything else is diffused, but where the light's coming through on the bird is good. My kid got to name this baby seal. We were the first ones to see it one morning, and she chose to name it Grape. So they're doing fruit names this year. So I think this was seal 25, and they might be up to 36 or 37 now. Another fun one of a seal kind of in a breaking wave. This is another one of Grape. This photo I liked a lot. Something about, I've been really trying to concentrate on contrast, and this doesn't have a lot of contrast in the colors, but what the contrast to me is everything looks so slow moving, and it's little teeny wave at the edge of the water, and the seal's totally laid out, looks relaxed, doing its thing. But if you look at this water right here, this water clearly is showing that there is motion, and there is something happening that's captured quickly. So something about that contrast to me I find interesting. Seal coming in on a small wave. This is kind of my "are you kidding me" look. I feel like it's my spirit bird right now. So little blue heron with its plumage up, staring off into space, wondering, "Are you kidding me?" Another look at that bird. Third look at that bird. The wild plumage is popular for me. I wish this was closer, as again I'm zoomed out as far as I possibly can at 600 millimeters here. This was a reddish egret who flared all of its plumage and then marched around for a little bit. I would love personally to have a close-up of this. I would really enjoy the details. That said, something about the vegetation up here at the top and then the blue water at the bottom, it gives it a different feel. For again, it's not a textbook wildlife photo per se, which I think a lot of people will like, but yeah, that was a fun shot. Widgeon close up with its eye. Let's go back to the widgeon for a second. So I did tell myself I was going to blast through some of these, but just not 100% sure that this is my favorite photo of the week. but I did like it in terms of shooting through the growth, getting so much detail here on the eye, and then having so much here on the left side of the composition and really nothing on the right. I enjoyed that. The next one is the little blue heron through this growth, and found this one interesting just because it's colorful without being colorful, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's intriguing. You know, when you're shooting these high zoom lenses, it can see through things that the photo saw more of the bird than I ever saw. Same little blue heron, and this time it's splashing its head down, hunting for fish. I got a kick out of the details here around the splash and the void that it creates. This one was really popular. Again, kind of not the super wildlife base. I mean, it's obviously, you know, a snowy egret, but you can't see its eyes, you can't see its face, which are usual go-tos, but it does have this tying the water to the bird, to the air. You know, it speaks to continuity. There's an awful lot of gradients here in this bird. This one in my circles had a lot of people talking about it. I liked this one. I'm going to stop on all of them now. This video is going to be so long, and Katie's going to be so sad at me. Brown pelican hopping into flight at last light along the San Diego River. I enjoy the details on its feet. You can tell what its intentions are. I enjoy the splash trail, that you know what it's been doing. And I thought that the eye detail came out well. Here it is eating sideways because it's shallow water. And then got back out towards the end of the week. Here's a gray whale with the Sunset Cliffs in the background. And then the same gray whale with the US-Mexico border in the background, which I enjoyed. And I think that wraps us for this week, so hopefully the video isn't quite as long as I had thought. If you were looking for any of the camera details and you're on my site, scroll down. All the images are posted. It's going to have shutter, aperture, ISO, and zoom. There's also maybe some notes here that are a little different, or a little bit of add-ons. If you're on any of the video hosting sites, I'm going to link my website in the description. Jump over to my website, and I invite you to take a look at the settings if you're into photography or into wildlife photography and trying to learn kind of what the settings are for the images you like. I'd love to have you on my site, and look forward to making another one of these next week for you.